Speak.
Hello.
Hello.
I think that might be on now.
Can you hear us now? Let us know in the comments, lad, because I'm still just getting no sound.
Hello. Hello.
Here we
Hello.
go. Hey.
Hello.
Can you hear us now? We've got sound. There we go. Should we start again? Alright, the Reds, it's Southern Reds. We've got Manchester United at Anfield tonight. If you need reminding, last time we played Manchester United, we beat them 5-0 at Old Trafford and they all got off. And we settled for 5-0 as well. It could have been more. We definitely could have scored more. But the Reds stopped. Mo Salah was fuming. He wanted more goals. He was kicking off on his teammates. But his teammates were saying, lad, they're going through us all. We're going to end up with no players. We're going to end up with more injuries. They're going to get so many players sent off that the game's going to get called off. And they just settled for 5-0 against Manchester United. So Manchester United tonight, a 19-point gap between the sides. They've played a game more than us as well. They are 13-2 to win at Anfield tonight, which I've got to say is pretty unheard of. Long odds for a Manchester United team to come to Anfield and win, but that is the current gap between the sides. I mean, they are currently 5th in the table. They still do have a chance of top 4, but that is largely down to the fact that Tottenham are Spursy and Arsenal are Bellends, and the pair of them just can't wrap up that 4th place, and they keep giving Man United a chance. So, you know, there will be people out there who will be saying, well, there's something for United to play for tonight, and blah, 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 blah. But even Rangnick, when they beat Norwich 3-2 and gave Norwich Norwich scored 2, and they gave Norwich other chances as well. Even Rangnick said, if we play like that against Liverpool, we've got no chance. And it's kind of like, well, yeah. I mean, did you see, you know, like, did you see when Maguire booted Pogba in the face?
No.
Yeah, he did this mad, like, he like sort of went like this with his leg, and it went into Pogba's face. But the best is someone's clipped it, and you see him warming up before the match, and he's like doing that. It's as though like he practiced booting Pogba in the face. Brilliant. And then Pogba's absolutely fuming. The fans have been giving Pogba loads as well.
I saw the clip of him walking off and him sort of like mimicking or making some sort of.
And he did a bit of a obviously they were protesting outside the ground at the weekend as well. The ground's falling apart. They've had a string of managers. And what's interesting today as well is Mel Reddy, friend of the show, who is now at Sky Sports, of course. I'm sure you've all spotted that one. She's done an exclusive interview with Rangnick, and among the things that he says, or among the things that he has said today, or in the last few days, is that they won't go 30 years like Liverpool did, and that it's really obvious what they need to do. Apparently so.
Right, okay.
I mean, which begs the question, well, why don't you do it then? Because he's like, you know, oh, well, Klopp come in and, you know, we just did this and this, and now look where they are. And it's like, well, hang on. Everyone who came in during that 30-year period had a plan and had ideas. He just basically says something like, you know, yeah, you just get rid of the bad players and buy good ones. All right, yeah, cheers, Ralph. Never thought of that.
Big summer for Ralph there.
Yeah, I suppose this 30 years without a title will not happen because it's pretty obvious what needs to change. If you know what you're looking for, it will take 2 or 3 windows. If you don't know what you're looking for, it's a needle in a haystack. If you know what kind of football you want to play and what kind of profiles you want for each individual position, then it's about finding the players and convincing them to come.
Okay, is there more?
It's not complicated, it's not rocket science. Liverpool finished 8th in the season when Jurgen arrived. Then it took 2 transfer windows. They brought in the right players. They got rid of the right players, and that's why they are where they are.
There's a lot of things there. There's a lot of moving parts that make up what Liverpool managed to do in 2 years. But what Liverpool managed to do, it wasn't just 2 years. It took longer than that, and it took patience, and it took a coherent plan, and it took the entire club working as one. The recruitment, the manager. I mean, they haven't even the new manager's not even in yet.
No.
Do you know what I mean? So how can you start talking about? I'm surely he'll have his own plan. You know, Ralph Rangnick, by the way, hasn't looked like he's had any sort of plan since he's come in. And at the beginning, I sort of thought that he was maybe the best person to go in. You know, to pinpoint where things are wrong, what needs to change exactly within the dressing room, so that whenever he moves up into the backroom staff, he'll be the best person sort of placed to know all of those things. But like, he's talking about him knowing the problems here. There's so many of them throughout the entire side, throughout the entire club. It's not as easy as he
No, and look, it's nearly 10 years since the Ash won the league already. So you've only got another 20, lad. And look, this is how it happened to Liverpool. I mean, those of us old enough to remember the full weight. Every summer you were like, well, this will be it became a thing, didn't it? Scousers saying this will be our year. Well, that's what's going to happen to them.
Or we're only 2 players away.
Or final piece in the jigsaw.
Exactly.
Or blah, 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 blah.
Last summer, the signings that United made were meant to be the final piece in the jigsaw. Rio Ferdinand was talking about how Man United had finished above Liverpool and they would push on.
Worked out well.
Yeah. Gary Neville was talking about where United would place, and I mean, a lot of the journalists, when you look back at the predictions at the beginning of the year, Liverpool were second, third for the vast majority of them. I didn't see any first, actually. So, I mean, there's a lot for them to do, a lot of work to happen for them to get anywhere near where they should be. Yeah,
Ten Hag will be the 5th permanent manager that, since United last won the title. That was, of course, under Ferguson. But enough about them. We know that they're a shit show and they're all over the show and blah, blah, blah. But what about us? A tremendous weekend following the Reds, a tremendous day out at Wembley, beating Man City, beating them well. One of the best performances in the first half from a Liverpool side that a lot of us have seen, I think it's fair to say. And so, we rightly go into this game tonight confident. We're the only unbeaten side in the Premier League at home. We're scoring a shitload of goals, the most in the league, 79 so far in the Premier League this season. And we're looking to complete the league double over United for the first time since 13-14. And you'd expect us to, wouldn't you?
Absolutely. A few things there. The weekend was honestly one of the best days I've ever had following Liverpool. Just the whole atmosphere, the way the first half went, the way half-time went, having just gone 3-0 up. How their end looked in comparison to ours, the sunshine, the feeling of it being like, the not the beginning of something, but that you were amidst this thing that we'd all look forward to. Look, Anfield will be bouncing tonight. There's no way it won't be. The sun is shining in Liverpool again today, and we're much the better side. We are far better than them, and I fully expect for us to get at them from the off. And for us to maybe approach it in a similar way to what we did at the weekend, which was just bang, 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 Liverpool going at them. That's what I want to see. It's similar to what we did to them at Old Trafford. I think they look dejected. They look like a team that's bereft of any sort of ideas or any new ideas. And I think we'll have them by the scruff of the neck tonight. I really do. And it's a massive chance for Liverpool to go top. That's the thing here for me in terms of. We talked about the psychology around this title race loads of times. The fact that we play first, having just beat City and put them out of the cup at the weekend, for us to go top tonight would just be massive. And look, they've got Brighton, and Brighton a few weeks ago was looking at them thinking they're not up to much, and then they're beating Spurs at the weekend, and I think that's 2 wins in a row for them. So you never know, but Liverpool have to do their job tonight.
Yeah, and United got some injuries as well. Cavani and Luke Shaw definitely out, and then likely out Fred and McTominay, which you might buzz off because they're both shit. But they are quite crucial to the idea of actually protecting a lead should they ever get one. And that's what Rangnick's sort of been moaning about last few weeks, saying, well, we can score goals, but we can't really stop them going the other way. And he scored 3 against Norwich, concede 2. He scored 3 against Tottenham, concede 2. And I just, as I said earlier on in the show, I just think that if you're conceding chances and that many chances to sides like that, I find it hard to see a scenario where they turn up at Anfield and are able to shut up shop. I don't think they've got it in the locker currently, to be honest with you. Maguire's an absolute show. They're talking about Wan-Bissaka playing tonight. Good. I don't rate him whatsoever. I think he's been absolutely grim for them. And look, their standards have just slipped massively. I think, I remember it happening at Liverpool. You used to look at a player that played elsewhere in Europe for other teams or whatever, and you'd sort of say, he's a Liverpool player, he could play for Liverpool. Yeah. And then all of a sudden you got absolute cack playing for you. That's what's happened to them. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Once upon a time, they went and bought the best players. Now it's like they've got all kinds of crap there that should be nowhere near the club. And long may it continue.
Yeah, but that's one of the things that when you're talking to United fans now and you hear them repeating or saying the same things that we used to say, like over and over again, you can see so many parallels between the slip in quality on their side and also like aspirations for the side. And at the moment, they're just like, this is them on the floor, and this is where we need to really, you know, I want to do the same again to what you know, what we did to them at Old Trafford. I know that's not the, you know, the priority tonight is to get 3 points, but you know, I think we can.
I don't get it as well. Like, I've seen some people saying sort of like, you know, oh, we don't want to get too cocky, but it's really hard as a football fan not to get cocky when you're watching a side as good as we're watching currently. And you know, they were absolutely superb at the weekend first half, like I said before. You look at United as well, winless in the last 5 away league games against Liverpool, only scored 1 goal in those matches as well. And then, as I keep mentioning, we know what happened at Old Trafford already this season. So it's very hard. Look, they've got players that can hurt you, of course. They've got players that can produce a moment, of course they have. And so that maybe gives them some kind of like, you know, puncher's chance. But, you know, you don't see many skimp bookies, and the bookies offering 13-2 in essentially a 2-horse race in a boxing match.
That's
Do you know what I mean?
yeah.
It's massive.
When they've managed to get something against us, or whenever they managed to sneak away with something, it's been whenever they have been able to be resolute at the back. And you know, you're listening there, they're, you know, how bad they've been at the back. How bad they have been at the back. You know, I think that was the difference this season when we went to play them. Solskjaer tried to play us, and he tried to play us, and he gave us, what was it, 5 minutes or something, and we'd scored against them, and we hammered them from there. I think in the past, whenever the Mourinho teams, even Van Gaal, whenever they've sat in and then tried to hit us in the break or tried to hit a winner, you know, right near the end, I don't see how this side can do that. They just don't have that ability, and I think that Liverpool will have to be on it from the off. I think they'll just try and turn it into a bit of a battle.
Matthew Rowe, thanks mate, dropped us 10 nicker there, and he said, here's a pint for you boys. Cheers mate. As Craig mentioned, it's nice and sunny out there today, blue skies. What better time to go and have a little pint with your mates before the big one? Yeah, cheers mate. Also as well, we've got a couple of t-shirts here on the table. Got the Diogo Jota t-shirt. Might be inspired by something, might not. Leave that up to you to decide. Got the Alisson one there as well.
Also a bit inspired by something.
Seen quite a lot of Anfield Wrap t-shirts kicking around at Wembley at the weekend, which was nice to see. Yeah. So you know, get yourself on for the next trip, because we are of course going again. Chelsea in the FA Cup final. I'm kind of a bit disappointed it's not Palace. Got to be honest with you. Just because I had this big dream of it being like a nice carnival atmosphere. You know, like they really get behind the side, they create loads of colour and sound, and we do the same. Like, and I just thought, you know, Wembley would be boss if it was Palace, and of course you'd expect us to win. With Chelsea, well, A, it's a more difficult game, and B, I just feel like, you know, like there is a undercurrent of bellendery around that club, and we've seen some bellendery at the weekend around City, and it just spoils it a little bit. It's like, can't we just all be friends? You know what I mean? I just can't be bothered. Like you said to me before, as soon as you walked in, like, had a great, and you said it on here, had a great day at the weekend. So did I. You know, with mates, having a bevy. You know, you watch your side win. After all the shit about getting to Wembley, it actually wasn't that bad, and it was all right. And the Reds absolutely dominated the ground, dominated the match. They're filling their end with a massive flag. And you know, the hills were silent stuff. Some stuff that I've seen around the ground and on the tubes and things like that, and stuff you've seen on social media, just all feels so unnecessary, because, well, as far as I knew, we didn't have a big beef with Man City. I've never known that we have.
Nah, they have in their heads though. I've got mates who are City season ticket holders, and it starts from us getting Van Dijk in front of them, then obviously the boss. And just this idol. Well, I mean, it's the small club mentality that they've always had and still have. Everything about them small time, and they can talk up their revenues and talk about how they're the number one commercial football team in the world. Yeah, but you know, everything about them is just is small time. Like, I wasn't surprised. Like, I was disappointed by what they did. It didn't surprise me. The videos of, you know, City fans in the tubes, and you know, doing the usual, always the victims. Not surprised by it. You get that every week whenever we go away with Liverpool.
Yeah, it's
we
grim.
were getting it last weekend. I was at the game last weekend at the Head. It's grim. It doesn't make it any. It's just classless, and it's but it's also becoming like a bit of a norm. It's as if it's accepted and no one's going to do anything about it, and the club can just parry this apology and go, yeah, no, we're sorry that people sang or did whatever during the minute silence, and the ref blows up a minute early, and then that's it because they've said sorry, it's fine. But the next time we go to the Etihad, they'll do exactly this. They'll shout the same things over the divide again, and Chelsea will probably do the same.
Yeah, we're going to talk about it a bit more in depth on 3 Strikes, which we're recording after this show. So look out for that if you subscribe, and if you don't subscribe, download the app, get some free tokens, and listen that way and see if you like it. And if you like it,
you're right though on Palace though. Like when I saw them at the weekend, like I liked it. The way they've got that section where they all wear black and everything, and it sounded
Homestyle fanatics.
Yeah, it was booming, and I think you're right. It would have been a proper. That would have been you'd have seen what Liverpool delivered in terms that Liverpool fans delivered in terms of atmosphere at the weekend, like that whole end, all tiers of it was just bouncing, and then you'd had Palace there who would have been fucking made up to be there, and just it would have been great. It's going to be edgy, as in like nerve-wracking, I think, because of the League Cup final again.
Yeah, and
they're going to want revenge as well.
I hope it's good tonight. You said before you think it will, but I hope it is, because I think there is. I've talked about being cocky before and maybe being a bit complacent as fans. I don't think the side ever are. I don't think the manager ever is. But it's really hard, as I said, to not look at recent history, to not look at results, to not look at the fact that I think United have lost 11 all comps this season, drawn 12 or 13. They've basically, I worked out, spoiler for the preview show, but I worked out that they haven't won 56% of their matches this season. So they've either drawn or lost. Anything that tells me that it's a grim time to be a United fan, I take some joy from, just because it was the other way around for too long.
Yeah. But we still have to go out and win it. Like we have to go out and win it, and the fans will have to play their part. I think the big thing at the weekend that, I'm not sure whether people have mentioned it on shows. I haven't had the chance to listen. I don't know whether people are talking about it online, but it felt as if the crowd fed the team and vice versa. Do you know what I mean? Like we mirrored each other. The performance on the pitch mirrored what was going on in the stands, and they feed off that. And I think that'll be massive tonight. In that, there might be a few tired legs. I'm not sure who's going to start, but it's Tuesday night immediately after a Saturday game. I know you'll have to rest a few, but I think also the fact that there's a big gap considering
Sunday.
Sunday. I think he might go game for a lot of footballers.
I was just going to say, isn't there an argument to say, everyone got the rest against Benfica, or a lot of them got the rest against Benfica. Saturday, Tuesday's not that bad. He's got a little bit of time with them. They would have got a session in, all of that kind of stuff. And then they've got until Sunday to the next one. He traditionally has thrown in a wild selection for Everton. It almost feels like Needle. Do you know what I mean? And you're like looking at. Remember that there was that day, wasn't there? That game. Did we win 5-2?
5-2, yeah.
And we were all walking up to the ground, aren't we? Going,
I was having a meltdown.
Fuck's sake, Jürgen. Looking at your phone, looking at the team news, and then you win 5-2, and you're like, never in doubt, Jürgen, lad.
And Shaqiri scores, Origi scores, yeah.
So, he might throw one of them in against them, maybe. But tonight, he might just go again. I mean, I've got to say, I really want to see that midfield again.
Oh, me too. I loved it.
It was great, wasn't it?
So, it was so dynamic. It just had everything you want from midfield 3. And look, I am Fabinho's biggest fan in the world. I love the bones of the man. And Thiago was just this, he's exquisite. That third goal, everything that he does is just 10 out of 10 quality. It shouldn't be, he made it look like FIFA in those little tight corners and obviously a little ball, but just the way he takes the ball and the way he gives it, he's just 10 out of 10. But Naby Keita he was brilliant.
He was great.
He was so good. He was so aggressive and assertive, and that's what we've wanted to see from him. So much so that I'm whispering it here, but if the FA Cup final was at the weekend, I'd play the same 3. And that feels mad to say about the captain, and I know it feels like a bit reactive to the weekend, but it just was so good. It was everything I wanted from a midfield.
Well, I like that Mel's asked in the big interview with Ranjich, which is on Sky Sports. You can watch it, or you can listen to it, or you can read it. She's asked him about Keita, because obviously he worked with him. And he said, "Oh yeah, I'm no surprised to see him play like that." And he said he was one of the best 8s he's ever worked with. So he has got that potential, hasn't he? I mean, and look, it might just be like this little golden light in his career, and maybe he still moves on. But I mean, fickle as we are as fans and all that, I've been like, I'd give him a new deal here. Do you know what I mean?
I don't think you could say he hasn't been a success, because he's been part of like the best sort of 4 or 5 years of my Liverpool supporting life. You know what I mean? He's been a part of that. And
for the money you paid though and all that, he's not done.
I think though over what's it been 4 years, I think the fact that like he has some big moments in terms of there's a little run he has around the World Club Championship, the Leicester game, where I thought he was brilliant. He was really, really good. At different times, he's sort of proven his worth. He scores in the game against Old Trafford. Like, I just think in any other era, Naby Keita would be like our like shining light. He'd be the one that we'd be all dependent on, and we just got so many good other footballers that, like, I like the idea of like when he's there, bringing him in and he can do a job. I'd give him a new deal, and I know that will sound mad to some people. I just don't see it as being.
It's 4 years, as you say, since we signed him. He's played 105 times for Liverpool. Scored 10 goals, assisted 6 goals. I mean, you know, when he's come in for 53 million quid, when we had to wait that season for him as well, which was dead weird, and when there was the fanfare about he's taking Gerrard's shirt, and like, he owned that fact himself, didn't he? And he was like, I want it, I'm a Gerrard fan and all that. He's not...
It's unfair because he's not Gerrard.
No.
He's nothing like that, but I think... Like when you see, I just think about some of the performances, and that there's been some dark times for him, getting hauled off against Real Madrid last year. You know, there's been
mad injuries as well. Like, you know, injured himself with a neck cushion on the fucking plane or whatever.
Klopp loves him though. Klopp always uses him towards the end of the season, towards the start of the season. So it's always as if he's in his plans for the big moments, the business end of the season, and he's in his plans at the beginning of the season. I think he'll stay. I think there's going to be people leave the club, and it's probably Milner and Chamberlain. If you're going to be talking about midfielders leaving the club, so I don't see why you'd let Naby Keita go as well.
Okay, let's see what we've got in the comments. It is a live one. You can comment. Certainly on YouTube. I think on Facebook as well, but I've only got YouTube open. Soz. So let's see what you're saying in here. People have made a little nod to the t-shirt there. Yeah, get on it. I think you might be right about the inspiration. Shh.
Are you starting Jota tonight, by the way?
Nah.
It feels mad, doesn't it? How many goals he's scored, how good he's been this season. I think I am. I think I'm making 3 changes. Matip, Henderson and Jota. I think just because Keita played against Benfica, and you were talking about managing his fitness, and obviously Matip doesn't play at the weekend.
Keita was good against United at Old Trafford though.
He was really good.
So, you know, I like, someone just said there, and I agree with it, that he seems to have like found a little bit of needle in his game all of a sudden. That like he felt like he was bullied a little bit at times. But, you know, he was in people's faces there, and he was standing up to people a bit, and it was like, go on, son. Because he's got everything in his locker, hasn't he? That's the thing. That's the frustrating thing with him. Someone says United could go 50 years without the title or like that. Tom Darby predicts that it will be 2-0 to Liverpool. We've got a 3-0 to Liverpool. We've got a 4-0 to Liverpool. We've got a 4-1 to Liverpool. A 3-0 to Liverpool. A 4-0. A 4-1. A 3-1. A 4-1. A 6-0. A 4-0. People are confident about this. There is no two ways. They can't people throw it in about why they think City fans behaved in the way that they did. Someone said they'd let Naby, Ox and Minamino leave.
I agree on 2 of the 3 there.
Someone just says it'll just be 4-0 tonight. We've got a 7-0. We've got rest Divock for the Champions League final. We've got... I don't think we'll be wasting too much energy on these blurts tonight. We've got a 42-1.
What?
As the score.
Fuck yeah. It was like my brain was trying to compute what you meant there. I think I think we're right to be confident. I think complacency and confidence are 2 completely different things here. I think we should absolutely, all of the, everything tells us that we should be confident going into this game, and the players will be exactly the same. They will not be complacent. I don't think the crowd will be complacent. I think we'll be up for it. I think it feels very United in 1920, where we had to win. It feels a bit 18-19 United, where Shaqiri comes on. We have to win, it's going to be a big night at Anfield, I think.
The other thing as well is, I mean, like I've seen someone there saying they don't get the love in about Keita. My thing always is that if you've got someone on your books who's capable, who could come in and do a job for you, who could improve, who hasn't even potentially hit the ceiling and things like that, then keep him and play him. Because I always think there's a Liverpool have been great at it, don't get me wrong, but I always think there is a risk with bringing someone in that they don't work for whatever reason. Minamino's got a shout there, and look, he got, was it 9 or something in the League Cup this season, so he's played a part this season, but he's been peripheral, it's fair to say, already been out on loan. So he's one where you'd say, well, arguably that hasn't worked, do you know what I mean? I mean,
but you could argue it both ways.
Of course you could, and for the money and all the rest of it as well, you've still got to say, well, you'd probably at least get your money back as well. But what I'm saying is there's a risk with any transfer, no matter how much you do your due diligence around it. So I always think if there's a player on your books and he's done all right, and even if it's just for like this period we're seeing now, you're like, well, yeah, but what about all the past? But if he can maintain this period and take that into next season and beyond, well, he'd be fucking fantastic for us, wouldn't it?
It just depends on what Jurgen Klopp sees his role as within the squad. So, like,
because I think Henderson could potentially become Milner. If you know what I mean.
Definitely. I think that's their plan. I think that's what they see from him. I think it all depends on what he sees Naby Keita's role to be, and if he's dependent on Naby Keita to play every single week, I don't think he's going to get that, but I think he also knows he's not going to get that. So if he has him for these big moments, if he has him for a game at the weekend where he thinks that he'll be more aggressive, or he'll bring a certain, he'll bring something different to the midfield, then he'll play him, and he obviously trusts him. So that I don't know if now, it's like with everything, I don't know why we have to be in sort of one camp or the other with Naby Keita. It doesn't have to be a love-in. It doesn't have to be, get rid of him because he's crap and he's always injured and he does this and you can't depend on him and all of that. He's a really, really good footballer. We can see that. And I'm zen with him being amongst the squad and being kept around the club and used when he's available. And we've got so many good midfielders there as well. And I'd imagine centre midfield's probably the next one that if you're looking at this squad and you're thinking, well, where might they add in the summer? It's centre midfield for me, I think.
I like this. Someone says Liverpool to get a penalty after Maguire points out a United handball to the ref. I mean, he is just random, isn't he, Maguire now? Like so much money spent on him, so much talking up of him. They were literally comparing him to Van Dijk and things like that. They paid more than we did for Van Dijk, for him.
I've got this thing with Maguire. I think it's a bit sly on him now. Like in terms of honestly, I think I enjoy the mishaps. I enjoy his face when he does something wrong, and just the fact that there was that like comparison. But I also think you see the likes of Paddy Power and you see all of these like banter accounts online just ripping him every single week, and I think it's a bit sly on him. Like they don't do that to anyone else, and he is a bit shy. He's like the United fans are, I think they're left with this footballer that they thought was going to be the next 7-8 years for them at the back. Maybe I'm going soft, Gareth. Maybe it's just Liverpool are so good, United are so shy. But I just think sometimes the banter stuff with Maguire.
But he's a fucking dope, though, isn't he? Do you know what I mean? Like the big celebration for England and all that, and you're like, just have a bit of
that was stupid.
Have a bit of self-awareness.
Albania, that was
it. You know what I mean? Have a bit of self-awareness, lad. Do you know what I mean? And he's just not helped himself, has he? No. It's fair to say. So, yeah, massive dope. Okay, well listen, let's leave it there. That has been Talking Reds. It is a sunny day, the Mancs are coming to town. You get to go to Anfield tonight and watch one of the best Liverpool sides there has ever been. We are still in the running for the title. We can go top of the league tonight. Not so long back we were 14 points behind Manchester City. Tonight we can go top of the league and we get to sing that song, and then the pressure is on them when they play Brighton, and that's what we want, isn't it? And we've got a European semi to look forward to. We've got an FA Cup final to look forward to. What a time to be alive. Up your liver, up the Reds.